Star, man.
Nobody calls Han Solo a bitch.
Bring him on. I prefer a straight fight to all this sneaking around.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
Oh, come on, bro. It's the wars.
So it never fails. Whenever there is a deafening silence in Star Wars news, we always get something big. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe, and of course with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey Doug, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm ecstatic.
Yeah, me too.
Dude, The Bad Batch?
Yeah.
I mean, let's get right into it. Like,
yeah.
The Bad Batch? I mean, we said when we watched those episodes, like, oh, I want more of that.
Exactly.
Well, they didn't waste no time. They're going to give us more. They saw this coming.
Yeah, I was going to say, this had to be, as soon as they got done with those, like that story arc in the Clone Wars, I'm sure the powers that be at Lucasfilm were like, yeah, we need to get started on more of this now. So, and I got a feeling that's what happened, because the time frame they're talking about, I think they had to have been working on this for a while.
Well, and that was just feeding off of the popularity of the clones within the Clone Wars over the years.
Yes, absolutely.
A lot of the clones focused episodes got really good reviews.
Yeah, for sure.
People really enjoyed it. It's a side of Star Wars that we didn't really get before the Clone Wars.
Right.
You didn't really get that boots on the ground perspective from the average soldier.
Exactly.
So the Clone Wars was really successful on that. So I guess we really should have saw this coming down Broadway, right? Like,
oh yeah, yes, but I think it's something that we all kind of said, maybe thought, yeah, we'd love to see more of this, but Clone Wars is over, which from this article, this is going to be the Clone Wars is over. So these guys
this is supposed to pick up right around Order 66.
Yeah, I guess. And it's from there moving on. And that's what's kind of appealing to me. These guys, during the Clone Wars, kind of operated out of the realm of Central Command, right? There's that line in there, who do you guys report to? That's a good question, So, even during the Clone Wars, they didn't really have like a command structure. So now, with all that being done, it's basically going to be like the A-Team in space, right?
I mean, yeah. So like, my question is this, okay? We know that these are clones that had some sort of mutation or just something that went, let's say, quote, wrong.
Yes.
They were the misfits of the clones.
Right.
They weren't the perfect specimen.
Well, but their mutations were advantageous.
Yes.
So, yeah.
But they weren't what you would call the perfect specimen. Probably, have issues following orders.
Right.
Things like that. Now, are we to assume that along with these mutations that their chips aren't one in place, two working?
I think it's a good assumption. I think we may find out. Like, I could see the beginning of this series starting right there with Order 66. One, for the chip thing, right? And two, for an explanation as to why they don't succumb to that. If whether they don't even have chips installed, or if their mutations help them overcome them, or if they're, superior intellect helped them or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, so the Clone Wars are over.
Right.
Right. The droid army is gone. Now, in order to have a successful series for the Bad Batch, they're going to need an enemy.
Sure.
Now, I think hunting down Jedi, things like that for the Empire might be a little cliche and boring.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we're to assume all the stormtroopers did this. Why would this group doing it be special?
Right.
I have a feeling that their enemy is going to be the Empire. They're loyal to the Republic. The Republic is being replaced. They don't like that.
Right.
So your comparison to like the A-Team,
Yeah.
I think will be very fitting.
Yeah. I kind of get the same feeling. The Empire will be their number one enemy, and they're a small group, so at best what they're going to be able to do is harass the Empire, probably in further reaching outposts or something. Nothing too big. It's not like they're attacking the heart of Coruscant, but if they can obstruct them in their outer reaching endeavors, then that's probably what they're going to end up doing, which could make for some good stories. It's the same. I don't want to say same old, but it's a classic story where small town, these guys come in, help get rid of the Empire, small town cheers them on, yay, kind of thing. I don't know, but I'm excited to find out. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see them just falling in with the Empire. Like, I don't see how that would be interesting.
Right.
I mean, they've proved me wrong in the past, and done something that is interesting out of something I thought would. Yeah, there's no way. Why would they do that? So, but yeah, I mean, this is an announcement that came with zero information, right? Like,
well,
there's nothing alongside it other than we're going to follow Clone Force 99 after Order 66. It's like,
right.
Okay.
We do have like the quote unquote people in charge, right? So executive produced by Dave Filoni, of course, right?
Yeah.
Athena Portillo, Brad Rao, and Jennifer Corbett, with Carrie Beck. Co-executive produced by Josh Rhimes and
Brad Rouse serving as supervising director, with Corbett as head writer.
Yes. So what that does tell me, though, is that probably, and I hate to even throw this out there, but probably much like Resistance, Dave Filoni's not going to be in it day to day. So I'm going to say, my guess is every time that there's a story written, Dave's going to get an email. You know what I'm saying? And he's going to look it over and he's be, let's just not do this here. And let's make him go here and stop this from happening. And, that kind of thing, that's what I'm thinking is going to happen. He's going to be the broad overview, not so much the day to day,
Right. But let's just to like take the little bit of fear factor out of that, right? Dave Filoni started to be separated from the day to day as early as Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah.
So, like, he wasn't. I don't believe he was supervising director for Star Wars Rebels. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure by the time of Star Wars Rebels, he was already moving into a producer role.
Right. Well, here's what I will say. I think he's going to be not as hands-on with this as he was in the Clone Wars. I think he will be more hands-on than he was in Resistance.
I would agree with that assessment.
So
let's see here. Why can't I find this information? I mean, I should have had this information up and ready to go, but really didn't think about it at the time.
That's all right. I mean, with something like this is one of those things that is kind of like Dave's, this whole arc, the Bad Batch arc. It's kind of like one of his kids, right? Or one of these stories it's his. So I got a feeling he's going to nurture it along, as it needs it. So, I wouldn't worry too much about that, but.
So Dave directed 52 episodes of the Star Wars Rebels.
Okay.
But okay, here we go. So Dave Filoni was executive producer on Star Wars Rebels for all 70 episodes.
Okay.
So while he had more of a hands-on role than Resistance, for sure.
Yeah.
With his 50 some odd episodes as a director. This is when he made his move towards being the producer.
Right.
Not being the, day-to-day director.
Yeah.
So, yes, my comment still stands. It's when they started to make the move. It was a slow move.
Yeah.
But they started it then. But, I mean, I don't think... So, the difference here is, and once again, to kind of take that comparison to Resistance out of the way, Resistance was aimed at being a younger, focused show.
Sure.
I don't think we're going to get that out of the Bad Batch.
No.
I mean, if you're going to make
agree.
a younger, focused show, this is the wrong group of characters to do so with.
Actually, I think what we might end up with is the same crowd that watched Resistance.
Yeah, moving into their,
Yes.
mid to late teens.
Yeah. Or even preteen. Yeah.
Preteen.
But yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
Next year. I guess I'm a little ahead of myself. I'm just so damn excited.
Oh, sure. I don't blame you.
This is one I really want to see. Like
it's going to be good. I have no doubt there.
But yeah, this would be a good way to introduce those people you brought in with Resistance into a little bit grittier of a Star Wars.
Right.
And the good thing about the Bad Batch is, yes, it gets grittier. But man, they do a good job at the comedy.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah. It is exciting times. And like we said, this is what comes, right? This is we have nothing to talk about for weeks.
Oh, yeah.
And here we go. New show.
Absolutely. Again, this is something that, everyone's excited about. And, every time there's a new announcement for Star Wars on Disney Plus, I get more and more excited about it because that's coming straight to my home. You know what I mean? It's going to be a good thing.
Oh yeah, Disney Plus has absolutely been a blessing for Star Wars. I mean, we talked about how George Lucas envisioned a streaming service like
Absolutely.
So, do I think he saw the Disney Plus method of things? No,
but when you look at the Clone Wars, how many networks did that show end up on? It was always the delivery mechanism that was the hang up for him, right? He could produce the show, but getting it to people's eyeballs was always the hang up. So yeah, definitely he envisioned, didn't know how he was going to do it, but a way for him to get this straight to the fans would be like perfect for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, being limited to Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
So that's your answer right there, right?
Right.
It showed up on Cartoon Network before it ended up on Netflix.
Right. Yeah.
So in George's time with the Clone Wars, it was very limited on reach.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Exciting.
Yes. Can't wait.
All right. Well, some rumors just don't go away. So, Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
I mean, Hayden Christensen has been rumored to be in literally everything Star Wars over, I'd say, the past, I'd say solid 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have to concur.
I'd say even longer, but I mean, it's been absolutely consistent and solid for 5 years. Definitely even longer. I mean, all the way back to The Force Awakens.
Right.
But I'd say it's been more than whispers and a slight rumble for the last 5. For the last 5, it's been like everything that comes out, it's like, oh, Hayden's going to be in it. And we finally got a little like nugget of that with, The Rise of Skywalker. Like he said 2 words.
Right.
A little more than that, but I'm exaggerating. But the rumble is getting louder for Hayden showing up in the Kenobi series.
Yes.
I know we've been down this road.
Yeah.
But Doug, how does this work for you? I mean, where does Hayden fit in Kenobi?
In a suit. in a suit that's all black with a black cape and a red lightsaber. As Darth Vader.
But do you bring Hayden back to wear a suit?
I don't think so.
Because I mean, we know who voices
right
the character in that suit.
Honestly, I think his involvement would have to be so the early things that we've heard about this being some sort of like a what was it, a psychological thriller type series, something
which would make a lot of sense for Kenobi in exile,
right? So if Kenobi's spending a lot of time in his own thoughts, then I could see Hayden making an appearance. Okay.
Now,
I mean,
when we talked about this before, we were talking about cameos, right? Not really cameos, but like guest appearances.
Right.
Yeah, he was going to show up time to time in flashback sequences, things like that.
Right.
But this time, I mean, this is coming from LRM Online.
Yes.
And they can say that Hayden Christensen, this is their statement. We here at LRM can safely say that Hayden Christensen will be reprising his role as Anakin Skywalker for the upcoming Disney Plus Kenobi series. Our source, you know how I love that.
Yeah, sources say.
Yeah, shared with me that the deal is done and Hayden Christensen will be coming back to the Star Wars franchise. And the hope was to have the deal done to announce for Star Wars Celebration. okay, this makes sense, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, and I guess I'm not saying this is as such, but I guess if you're going to write BS, this is a good time to do it too, because it's like, oh, this was made for Celebration.
Yeah, which isn't happening, so you can't like confirm it on us. Yeah, got it.
So, but it says with Celebration on hiatus till 2022, this news will be announced at a later date, closer to the beginning of filming. But this is where it gets interesting. It says the biggest news from my source is Hayden is casted as a regular. So that means we will be seeing Anakin in more than just a cameo appearance. So, and it says during early negotiations, the role started out as just a cameo appearance. So that's where I'm asking, where does this fit as a regular?
Well,
the flashbacks made sense, right?
Absolutely.
Unless they're going to be doing this a lot, but this is only how many episodes?
This is going to be a 6-episode series, as I understand it. Like 6 1-hour-long episodes.
Okay. So 6 1-hour episodes. How do you fit this in as more than a cameo?
Well, I think
and
it
still
could
tell
be,
a new story.
I think it could be a combination of things. Okay, so I think we could see stuff, Obi-Wan looking back on what happened, right? Which when you say that, you could just think, oh, well, that's just, they just pull footage from Revenge of the Sith, good to go. But I think we could see stuff a little bit beyond what we saw in Revenge of the Sith. Okay?
Well, I mean, you look at Revenge of the Sith, you look at Attack of the Clones, there were a lot of references to things that happened.
Yes.
I guess you could dive into some of that.
Absolutely.
You could dive into Obi-Wan trying to see if there were signs he missed. You know what I mean? Like yeah. He's got to be just kind of, toiling in his own thoughts here. Like, how did I miss this? So there's going to be a lot of meditation and reflection. So you may see some flashbacks into scenes where Obi-Wan missed obvious moments that hinted towards Anakin's fall.
Right. Now, another thought I had was maybe, just maybe they do make contact with each other through the Force. Okay. And I know this kind of blows the whole, Obi-Wan's in hiding, he can't come out thing. But I imagine Vader, Hayden, with all the makeup and stuff, from like the Vader appearance in Rogue One, right? In his forget what that thing's called, his hyperbaric oxygen chamber type thing from Empire Strikes Back, and maybe they have a back and forth that way a little bit, because in A New Hope, we only get that line. I feel the presence I haven't felt since ... So we don't know when since is. So
since last Tuesday,
could be, but
man, this guy won't leave me alone.
It's either that or it's since that guy cut my arms and legs off. Jeez, he left me burning. I mean, I don't know. That one's a little harder to swallow. I understand. But if they're crafty about how they do it, and, you're looking at Deborah Chow, showrunner, she's pretty crafty. They could make it work.
Yeah. I don't know. 'Cause
I can tell you're not in love with this idea.
no, I don't like the idea. One, I think the idea of Vader communing with Obi-Wan as Anakin, yeah, I don't like that. I think if
No.
anyone is going to toss Vader further into Vader,
No one said
it's
he'd
Obi-Wan.
be as Anakin.
Well, I mean, you got to have Hayden do it.
Yeah, but he's you're talking about Darth Vader, helmet off, so therefore we can use Hayden. You know, all the burn makeup.
I see where you're going here.
Yeah. That's what I'm getting at.
See, I thought you were going like the route of Matt Lanter and Ashley with the Vader Ahsoka showdown,
Oh,
where you hear Anakin's voice.
right.
You get that break in the James Earl Jones voice, and you get the Ahsoka. You know, like
Right. No, I'm thinking more like helmet off. Like so Hayden could voice the character, okay, of Vader inside that chamber, right? Helmet off.
Hmm.
Of course, he have to, like, you know, get himself a scratchy sore throat or something, because in order to make it sound right, I think. But
yeah, because I think there's a certain amount of damage to his vocal cords.
exactly.
You know, that scream of "I hate you" that had to have hurt.
Yeah. And not to mention the fire.
Yeah, I mean, and then there's that.
Yeah.
No, I'll say this: I don't hate it, but I'm having trouble with it.
Sure.
So I don't hate it. I don't hate the idea. I am very much thinking you might see some flashback scenes.
I think that's a very good possibility. That it could all be flashback stuff. It could be maybe Obi-Wan imagining how things could have gone differently. Think about it like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And somehow, you know, maybe Obi-Wan has to work out, if I'd have done things differently, how would they have gone? And he realizes that no matter what he would have done, the end would have had been the same result. Right? Because maybe that's how he comes to grips with, you know, Vader is Vader now. He's twisted and evil.
Well, I mean, if there's any two people on this planet that can play both older and younger versions of characters they've played in the past,
Oh, yeah.
it's Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen.
That could so be done so easily. Yes. For sure.
I mean, so yes, these are literally like probably the only two people.
Yeah. I mean, you're right, because they both look really good, you know, for as long as it's been since they've played those roles. And, you know, I got to say, on the other end of things, you know what I'd really love to see by the last episode maybe is Obi-Wan with a much shorter haircut and starting to go gray a little bit. That'd be kind of cool, because it's just one of those, another little thread that we could tie on to, you know, that original trilogy. So
very a la Rebels.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, like I said, if there's any two people that can pull this whole thing off, go young, go older, go young, go older, it's these two.
Absolutely.
I mean, I was stunned looking at Hayden going, wow. Yeah, he could. He could do it.
Yeah. Especially, that, the de-aging technology they got, if they just put a little tweak on things, I'm sure they can make it look perfect, given that by the time we're going to see this, that technology is going to be a few years older than the last time we saw it. Yeah. I think it'll work out just fine.
Yeah, I mean, because unlike these two guys, I mean, I look a lot different than I did when this happened, back.
Yeah, me too.
So, yeah, kudos to them. And, this is, I like the idea of Hayden showing up. It's still a real head scratcher at how.
Right.
So, and this is a really believable rumor to me, like that Hayden is going to show up in some capacity.
I gotta say, I think, and credit to them, I think this is Disney finally looking at the prequels and going, wow, okay, I guess people really did like them. And
no shit, eh?
Yeah, because it's the truth. Because you're getting a lot of people asking, where's the love for the prequels? Like, we got when Disney happened, Clone Wars was gone, and that was a prequel era show, and any notion of prequel stuff happening was like, well, I think they're finally starting to come around to the thought of people liked Obi-Wan and Anakin together. It was a good dynamic. They wanted to see more of it. Let's figure out a way to give them some.
I mean, and in the sequel trilogy itself, it literally took until the last 5 minutes of the last film for the sequel trilogy to give at all a nod to the prequels.
Yeah, it's true.
With voices of Jedi of old.
Yeah, it was a barely perceptible nod too.
Yeah. I mean, it was real quick and very jumbled together.
Right.
Like, oh, let's put this in there. Like, oh, the prequels have a place. See.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there were literally 3 films except 5 minutes that just completely ignored.
Right. I think this could go a long way into scratching that itch for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I mean, and in some respect, I understand a little bit, right? The amount of time passed between the prequels and the sequels is much greater than the prequels and the original, or the sequels in the original trilogy. So obviously, the original trilogy, you have characters that are still alive, so it's going to take precedence.
Yeah.
But there was just a real lack of acknowledgement.
Yes.
For the prequels. Like, just Nuggets, man. Nuggets would have helped.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I don't know. They could have done a lot. They didn't. I would have loved to have seen some old Clone Wars era tech brought back as to aid the Resistance. That kind of stuff would have been cool.
Yeah, I think they woke up, when they did Celebration Chicago, and Hayden Christensen, Ahmed Best got an absolutely stunning reception. Maybe that was a wake-up call.
Yeah. I think they are coming around. For whatever reason, I don't know. Maybe the Disney execs, maybe they were all original trilogy people, which, don't get me wrong, that's what I am. But God, the prequels were awesome as well. So I think if we get to see some of this, in the Kenobi series, that's going to be Pretty darn cool.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's some bridges that you have to appease there, right? Like, here you are. You're an original trilogy, generation. And you're talking about, wow, the prequels were awesome.
Yeah.
I'm prequel generation.
Yep.
I've got my love for the original trilogy, but I'm prequel generation.
Yeah.
And the prequels, they hold a special place for me.
Sure.
Right? Because that's my generation.
Yep.
So, yeah, and I really wanted the sequel trilogy to do a good job of establishing their own generation, like the prequels did. The original trilogy, obviously it was the original, so it did.
Right.
But the sequels should have done that as well. Establish their own generation, but hey, let's tip the hat to the original trilogy. Let's tip the hat to the prequel trilogy, because that's why we're here. So, yeah, it tried too hard to be a part of the original trilogy.
Yeah.
It just tried too hard. It needed to be its own thing, with tips of the hat to the originals, tips of the hat to the prequels.
Right.
But do its own thing. And it really struggled to do that.
Yeah.
It tried too hard to just continue the original trilogy storyline. And yeah, that's another rabbit hole, but I'll end with saying I think that was the wrong route.
Right on.
Whole nother rabbit hole. We got other stuff to talk about.
Yes.
Have something to add to the conversation? Or you just want to let us know how we're doing? Email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best place to get in on the action. But if social media is a little more to your liking, @TheWarsAndMore on Twitter is always a good place to interact with us. And we're also on Facebook, facebook.com/TheWarsAndMore. And of course, your portal to this and everything else, The Wars and More, is thewarsandmore.com.
All right, so we got some Disney gallery stuff we really want to get to, but Doug, I don't know if we're going to get to it.
Hey, we'll do our best here. We'll do our best.
I mean, we're already behind, right?
This is true. Yes.
We're already behind. And it's crazy because we've had nothing but slow times, but yet we still can't seem to get to it.
I know it.
It's like we have these episodes we're whining about, man, there ain't nothing to talk about. We got this stuff, but we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about all this other stuff that's nothing.
Yeah.
But always rolls into something. It's crazy.
Exactly.
So we're going to try to get to it. If not, we will get to it.
Yes. Eventually.
Because there's some good stuff in gallery. And if you've been watching, we have some thoughts.
Exactly.
We have some thoughts. And I mean, we're not a news show, right, Doug? We're our thoughts on the news. So
that's right. That's exactly right.
So, but, man, so Solo.
Yeah, Solo
sequel. There's talk about a sequel, maybe not.
Yeah. Well,
there's a lot of talk about, hey, if this would happen,
yeah,
how would it go?
Well, Esquire talked with Alden Ehrenreich, and they asked him if he'd ever reprise his role of Han Solo. And he said, it depends on what it is. Depends on how it's done. Depends on if it feels innate to the story. So, it says he never even saw The Rise of Skywalker, and he also didn't even know the name of the Mandalorian. I gotta say, that's a little bothersome for me, but okay.
I mean, not really for me. I mean, look, he's playing Han Solo. As long as he knows who Han Solo is.
Okay, fine. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm gonna say this. They made this movie and they left it wide open for a sequel. I think they were expecting it to have a far better reception, and then that would be the avenue for definitely making something else, right? I mean,
I don't know how they expected a better reception with the marketing campaign they had, but yes, okay.
right. I don't know. I think I just don't see this going very far, honestly.
Now, I will say I have seen some rumblings from other sites and things like that talking about, and I know it always goes to this, right? Everything goes to this. You got a Star Wars story that needs to be told, and everybody goes, "Oh, it could be a Disney Plus series."
Right. Well, yeah.
I have seen rumblings elsewhere that Solo could end up rolling into a Disney Plus series.
Okay.
And I could see it.
Yeah.
I could really see it. Like I look at, and I know this ain't the greatest example, but it somewhat ties in, right? The Adventures of young Indiana Jones, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So the whole young Indiana Jones series, you got a series out of that, right?
Right.
I could see them doing something with Han Solo in his youth, and it may be better this way.
Yeah. So you're talking like episodic television as opposed to a sequel movie.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I think episodic television would give you chances to just see things that happen with Han Solo, but not necessarily try to tell this epic, story. It doesn't always have to be this epic thing, right?
I agree. I mean,
you can just tell some things that happened along the way with Han Solo, and I think people will enjoy it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a 2-hour plus thing to explain this one little thing that happened. Okay, yes, the Kessel Run, that needed a 2-hour film.
Okay.
If you're gonna do the Kessel Run, yeah, that needs a story, right? That needs to be epic. But if you're gonna do Han doing some smuggling, it doesn't need that.
Yeah. I will say this. Kessel, right? Spice mines, right? I gotta be honest. They're from a early age, I guess I would say, right? We always thought Han had to been smuggling spice, which I don't even. From the early days, I don't even know that we even knew what spice was supposed to be, right? But it didn't matter. Spice mines of Kessel Run. Drop your shipment at a first sign of an Imperial Star Destroyer. All this was put together in our minds, right?
Right.
So, I don't know. For me, I think there was a misstep or two along the way in Solo, right?
Okay.
So and it was a good movie, right? But I think
a good summer movie. Some would
shut
say.
up. But I think I don't know. I don't mind expanding on the story. I don't mind it being different, but I just it's almost like none of the dots connected to me,
Okay.
And when they are connected, I think it's almost like a forced connection. So I don't know. That might just be me. Who knows? But
I feel like we're drifting a little off.
I know. I'm just thinking about the movie and thoughts come to mind. So
yeah, almost maybe we should do like a commentary or something.
Yeah, we could probably do something like that. Yeah.
But yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like you could do some Han Solo adventures, and I think it would be rather enjoyable as a series.
Sure.
And I think maybe more so than feature films. I feel like the lifestyle that Han Solo would be leading might be more enjoyable in an episodic TV format.
So the more I'm thinking about this, the more I'm thinking you might be onto something. Because, you know, you got this whole card player persona, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which wasn't really him. That was more Lando. You know,
But it got him a ship.
It got him a ship, but I feel like again, I don't want to get into it, but in the movie, what we got to see was like the very beginning of Han Solo, the origin, right? He even comes up with his name in that.
Right.
So, yes.
Which is a good jumping off point.
Yes.
Because let's think about Han Solo here. You got tons of moments with Han Solo, like, you know, oh, that bounty hunter on Ord Mantell, or, oh, you know, this time at this.
Yes.
There's tons of those moments.
Yes.
And you just get this idea that, man, Han has led an interesting life.
Right.
Well, tell tons of those stories. Don't tell one. Don't tell two.
Right.
I mean, and if we see Solo pick back up, I don't necessarily want to see him dealing with what's the organization?
Crimson Dawn.
Crimson Dawn. I don't necessarily want to see that.
Right.
Maybe some, like, keep it in there. Have it be part of it, but not the focus. You know,
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You know, kind of. I'm trying to think of something to compare it to. I know there's like characters in cinema that have dealt with organizations that aren't the focus all the time.
Gotcha.
They're just not coming to mind.
Yeah. But I get what you're saying. It's you know.
Oh. I can't think of it.
Huh?
I had to help myself here, but so like what I was thinking of is like, so James Bond.
Oh,
Are you
okay.
familiar with James Bond?
Little, yeah.
So Spectre,
Okay.
right? There was always nods to Spectre. They always brought up Spectre.
Okay.
It was never really the focus all the time. So you could kind of have a James Bond and Spectre kind of thing going on with Solo.
I see.
You could be bringing up Crimson Dawn. Like he's dealing with this threat of Crimson Dawn, but it's not necessarily the focus all the time.
Right.
He's got a situation at hand that, yes, they may be tied to it, but they may not be the focus at the moment. So you could do something like that in an episodic format. So you can always keep Crimson Dawn around. You can have Darth Maul make his appearances. You can do all this crap. But you can focus on what makes Han Solo so interesting.
Right.
So,
Well,
I think I got it. I think I got what I wanted to say out.
gotcha. Well, I think who knows? I mean, this is all rumor. I will say the one quote here in this article is says he has heard some rumors about happenings in the Star Wars world. It says, quote, I've heard some stuff, but nothing concrete. So whatever that means, I don't know about anything coming up. Maybe it's a thing.
Some stuff, nothing concrete. Hey, us too.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it's a thing. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I just feel like, maybe they're a little gun shy about Solo now because, again, I hear a lot of talk about people, never went to see it. Clearly, there was a lot of people who never went to see it. But watching it now on Disney Plus and having seen it maybe on Netflix, they're digging it, but again, it just doesn't have the, I don't know, just doesn't hit quite as hard as a lot of the other feature films did, including Rogue One, so.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that I think Rogue One's been the exception to the rule.
Oh, for sure.
With the outside of the saga films.
Right.
Granted, there's been 2. So.
Yeah, I know.
But, I mean, I feel like Rogue One is separate, but not. Like, Rogue One is a complement to the saga films.
Yes. It
Whereas
absolutely
Solo is truly
it's a different story.
A different story.
Yeah. Rogue One is a supplement to the main story. Yes.
Yes. So it did a lot to advance certain plot points.
Yeah, for sure.
They didn't give Solo that kind of weight.
Well, when you say they didn't give it, I'm not sure that it could have it.
No.
And which plays right into what you were talking about before, and having it be some sort of episodic show. That does kind of make more sense.
And maybe not like a TV series, but more like a mini series,
exactly,
like a Band of Brothers kind of deal.
Sure.
Like it's meant to be a almost like mini movie type event,
right?
But told over several weeks,
right?
So, yeah, I think that format would do Solo very well, especially with all the advances they've made. Right? They can do a lot with this format now.
Oh yeah,
more so than they've ever been able to do.
Yep.
So I don't know. Either that or keep doing what you're doing. I didn't think Solo was a flop. I thought it was a good film.
It was a good movie. Financially, I'm not so sure. What the definition of a flop is, but yeah, exactly. We'll see.
But it was a fun film. It was not groundbreaking. It was not, earth shattering, but it was fun. And in all honesty, when we set out to look at the story of Han Solo before he was the Han Solo we saw in the saga, we wanted a fun film.
Sure. Yeah.
He's a goofy guy.
It's like this. If nothing ever comes of it, I'm okay with it. But if they decide to make some of these stories and, put them out there for our consumption, I'll be consuming for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Alden definitely wasn't the problem.
No, not at all.
So, yeah. Hey, I'm glad they're still talking about it. Maybe they'll do something. I'm not opposed to more Star Wars.
Never.
Just saying. Just put that out there.
For sure.
And especially if you can keep Chewie going the way it was in that film.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was Chewie's film. Let's be real.
Yeah, for sure.
But, yeah. There's tons to do there. Tons of fun adventures that you can tell and maybe not try to make it so serious. Maybe you don't need Crimson Dawn and all that. You can just have Han Solo the Smuggler doing Han Solo the Smuggler things.
Right.
and it can be fun, witty, and a good time. All right. There'll be time for more solo talk later.
Yeah.
All right. So we've been talking about over the past couple weeks this whole, we talked about it once and then we've alluded to it over the last couple weeks, this whole Disney reset thing, right?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't really want to go down that road too much, but another thing that's been cropping up is this whole Lucas cut of The Rise of Skywalker and claims that it's out there. It's real.
Yeah, it's real. Yeah, I don't think it's real, Joe.
No, it's definitely not real.
Yeah.
The idea, yeah, it's out there. There's an idea out there that George Lucas could make a cut of The Rise of Skywalker. But the whole concept of George Lucas coming in to edit a film that is written, directed, produced by J.J. Abrams is absurd.
Right. Not to mention the numbers I've been hearing. I heard in one article that 40% of what Lucas put into his edit was actually stuff off of the cutting room floor. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Do you realize how much stuff there would have to be? I understand they shoot a lot of stuff that we never see, but my God.
40% of the material in his edit was cutting room floor stuff.
Right.
Okay. So let's just use history as an example. And I know this is a crazy concept. So what typically gets cut on a cutting room floor? It would be like added dialogue, added scenes, right? Like
usually stuff like that. Yeah.
And I say added just as it's expansions on certain scenes.
Right.
A scene that's a departure from the story they're telling, like
stuff that fits the story but isn't necessary for the story. Right. There's an economy of storytelling that happens there that, yes, they shoot it, they have it. Once they get into the editing suite, they realize we don't need it.
But the concept that 40% of what gets cut on the cutting room floor could tell a cohesive story is absolutely absurd.
Right. There is this implication from this article, isn't there, that this kind of changes the whole movie. It makes it into something that it isn't, right? And it just can't happen that way.
No, that, like, I understand that we have this, and it's not really a perception, but there is this thing about Disney and their lack of focus, right?
Right.
Their lack of direction, their lack of one vision.
Yes.
All
those things.
Okay. That is a thing. But that is a thing across multiple films.
Right.
To think that they shot, what did they write if they were able to have 40% of the cutting room floor material used to tell a story? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Right.
Like, at all.
Exactly.
That means they shot multiple movies, not multiple endings, not multiple this. They shot multiple movies.
Here's another thought. I just had this thought just now that and you're right, by the way, multiple movies. But I just had this thought that this is how Star Wars works, right? We get the movie, or the movie's in final production, and the novelization is based off the movie, right? In most other cases, it's the other way around. Star Wars has always been this way. The movie is made, the novelization is based off the movie. If there was that much more, most of that would make it into the novelization. The novelization tends to have those quote-unquote deleted scenes that we don't see in the film.
Right.
So this novel would be probably 50% larger than it is if that thought was true, which it couldn't possibly. So
No, and I don't. Now I'll say this: I don't disagree with the assertion that if you use 40% of the cutting room floor material to fill in a movie, that the movie would be different. It would definitely be different.
yeah, it'd be different, but
it wouldn't be better.
the thing is this: they set out to tell a story. Okay, no matter how much is on the cutting room floor, they were still telling the same story. You can only do so much with what was shot.
Right.
It's not like you're going to change it to mean something else by using deleted footage. It just doesn't make sense.
Right, and I gotta change that assertion there. Not 40% of the cutting room floor material was used. 40% of the film is made up of cutting room floor material.
Right.
Yeah. Doubt it.
Exactly. Just doesn't make sense. I'm
sure George Lucas would be looking at this going, I did what?
Yeah. I'm sure he sees these headlines and he laughs.
He's like, I'm retired.
Yeah. Show me more of that Baby Yoda.
Yeah. I'm not focused on Star Wars. I got a museum.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's where George Lucas's focus has been.
Yeah, for sure.
Period.
I don't know. People may have maybe wishful thinking, but
not maybe. This is purely wishful thinking, hoping for something that's not there.
Exactly.
Okay, I mean, you're thinking that the Trevorrow cut is the cutting room floor material. It is not.
Right.
Okay, the cutting room floor is stuff that J.J. Abrams, in writing this film, wrote and decided not to use. Which means that the tone of the cutting room floor material would match the tone of the film you got.
Yeah. It's funny because, there was all this talk about the JJ cut, right? And the bottom line, we got the JJ cut in the theaters. So he came out and basically said as much. I think the whole thought of the Snyder cut of which DC film was that?
Justice League.
That's it. So that has started a hailstorm of if there's something we don't like about a movie, hey, director's cut, no, creator cut, whatever. It's just, it's not going to be like that every time.
Oh, I mean, you can go back and listen to our episode Film Justice and listen to us talk about what we think this whole idea of the Snyder cut is going to do to the whole Star Wars thing.
Right.
And it's all coming true, man.
Yes.
This is what we were talking. This is going to ramp this idea up of another cut. And it's ramped it up in a way that I think we didn't see coming, that no one saw coming.
Right.
I mean, it ramped it up to a point where people are just making shit up now.
Yes.
I mean, if I'm being blunt.
Yes.
So, yeah. Yeah. So, George Lucas and the idea of a George Lucas cut of The Rise of Skywalker
is absolutely absurd. This did not happen. This is not happening. Look, I want George Lucas to be involved in Star Wars as much as the next person.
Probably not as much as me.
Right. It's probably true. But I don't even like this idea.
Yeah, I agree.
I like the idea of like, okay, things went the way they did. You want to do something different. You want to inject George's vision back into something. George comes in and makes another film, not replacing a film, not redoing a film. George comes in and does another Star Wars film.
Right.
That is my. I would love that. I would love George to come in and do another Star Wars film.
Absolutely.
I mean, George Lucas is the reason I love Star Wars.
Yep.
I mean, it's just, there's no way to argue that point.
Yeah, totally.
I didn't get here today talking about Star Wars, loving Star Wars, without George Lucas's vision. So, of course, I'm on board with George Lucas doing another film. But I'm not on board with, nor do I think George Lucas would be on board with, redoing something that's already been done.
Yeah.
That bridge has been crossed. It's done. It's happened.
That bridge has been crossed. We threw a bunch of gas on it and burned it. There's no going back.
Yeah, there's no going back. It's done.
Exactly.
So, yeah. I'd like to say that's the end of that, but it's not the end of that. I'm sure we'll be back to this.
I'm sure we will hear more about this, and it's going to irritate us just as badly. So, yeah, there we go.
All right. So, hey, Doug.
Yeah.
Do you remember back during the production of The Force Awakens? There was all this talk about posters that were around, the production.
Yeah.
That said something like, I believe it was, loose lips sink starships.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes, you are correct. That was a thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Giancarlo Espisito, man, do we love when he's out talking?
Yeah. Yeah, because this guy talks.
Guy,
yeah, he talks.
God bless him, has no filter. He just says stuff.
Yes.
And I like it.
Yes. So
I know Dave Filoni don't like it.
No, I'm sure he doesn't like it. Yeah. I think I think this might be the one area where he prefers his voice actors as opposed to live action actors.
Because I mean, I just have this feeling that Dave was sitting back. He said this, and Dave's like, "Come on, man."
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, Giancarlo Esposito was he did an interview with Entertainment Tonight, and ahead of a couple clips here, right? I'm going to do the first one here. Basically, this one is kind of outlining when he got the gig of Moff Gideon, and it was kind of cool. But there's one little tiny thing kind of at the end, so keep your ear open for that, and then we'll get into the bigger one after this.
Jon Favreau asked me to do it. I was head over heels. He mentioned that he had written it for me. I went and started to look at old Moffs. What's a Moff? I went back and looked at Peter Cushing was a Moff. What do they do? Who are they? And then was really present in conversations with Jon about his imperial status, his carryover from the Empire, how Moffs operate and why possibly, leaving room, it's always possibly, why he might be the Moff to take everything over. How does he know everything? There were a bunch of questions. And so, which some of them got answered and many of them not, because he's still trying to find that out.
Why he might be the Moff to take over.
Right. And he's still trying to find that out.
Yeah.
Kind of weird. Yeah. I think he's still trying to figure out what's going on, what's making Baby Yoda tick. So, and how he can exploit it. So, I think that's kind of tipping us off a little bit there as to what might be coming. But I will say this: I thought it was just cool how he was, found out about the role. Like you said, Jon Favreau basically said he wrote the part with him in mind, and when he started looking into the character, he started looking back into the history of Star Wars, right? Because where you hear about a Moff, that's a Star Wars thing, right? So, and then he researched his character, talked to John about it, and it's just kind of cool how he dove in. So,
well, I mean, and when you watch The Mandalorian and you see this character, you believe every bit of that.
Oh yeah,
like this character was written for him.
Yes, for sure.
Like, he steps into that role in a fantastic way.
Yeah,
and much like Moffs before him, you're like, man, I don't like this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a bad guy.
This is a bad guy. Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, I mean, he did his research.
Yeah.
He did his research.
He did his research and played it quite well. So this next clip, something that he has liked talking about a lot, is being able to, have the Darksaber, and
we like talking about that too.
Yeah.
Everybody likes talking about the Darksaber.
Well, he maybe he talks a little more than he should have. Check this out.
To have this saber means I can use it, and I can do my own dirty work. That I'm a fighter, that I'm a warrior. That's part of me. Also creates the possibility of that he is one of the ones. Like he possibly has that, and that to me is interesting, because is he really that fallen hero? Is he, is he a descendant of Darth Vader? Who is he? What does he want? Mm-hmm. He knows all about everything, and you'll have to wait to find out. Yeah. And he's actually pretty good with that Darksaber too.
All right, I'm going to recommend a class for you, Giancarlo. How to be cryptic in interviews 101. Because
because everybody's going, maybe he has that thing, the Force.
Exactly.
Maybe he's one of the ones. Maybe he's a fallen hero. Jedi.
Right. A descendant of Darth Vader?
Nah.
No. Yeah.
Maybe he works for him. Like,
yeah, could be
Inquisitor type stuff.
Right. That kind of makes sense. But yeah,
like a lot.
So you and I talked about in the past, right? There's how do we call it? A pretty reliable rumor that Ahsoka is going to make an appearance.
Yeah, and there was going to be a pretty epic battle between her and Gideon.
Yeah.
And it's like, now what chance does this guy stand against a former Jedi Force user, like
a big fat zero? Until we hear this.
Oh, until maybe he's one of the ones. You know what I'm saying?
One of them.
Yeah. Maybe he's got some of the secret stuff.
Yes. So, yeah, we love this guy.
Absolutely love this guy. Like, he tries to be like cryptic. Like, I love that though. It's like
Oh man. So one thing we know about Giancarlo Esposito, right?
Yeah.
Is this guy is a very honest guy. Because he's a horrible liar.
Right.
So this is a very authentic and honest dude. Because
that's for sure. I think
his lying skills suck.
What needs to happen is Dave Filoni needs to sit him down and say, okay, look, this is how it's done. You just don't tell him anything. Yeah, exactly. Oh.
They ask you what you're working on, you say I'm unemployed.
Right. So
what's that?
Right. I will say the thought of him actually having some force ability now makes the thought of this lightsaber duel more interesting. So there might be more consequence to it.
By a lot?
Yes. So as far as that goes, I'm a little more excited about that now.
Like we went down this whole, road with him, like comparing him to what's his name? The main antagonist for most of Rebels. Oh man, what's his name? Mutton Chops.
Yeah.
Why is this slipping my mind?
Became Fulcrum.
Yeah.
Wow, this is bad, Joe. We are
dude
bad.
I'm telling you. Like I have
Callus.
Thank you, Doug. But we had this idea kind of like Callus, like he had all this training, right? Like he's able to fight in these ways.
Right.
When we saw him fight Zeb, it made sense when he would fight someone else. He's got skills.
Yes.
He's gonna lose, but he can make it interesting.
Right.
With Ahsoka, we've seen Ahsoka's skills before this. Then we saw it before this again. And she was better.
Right.
So by this point, what can Ahsoka do? Didn't seem like it was going to be a really fair fight.
Exactly.
Oh, he's got a glowing blade.
Yeah, I know. But she's fought against the likes of Darth Maul, Darth Vader. I mean,
right.
Come on. Yeah.
Held her own.
Yeah, exactly.
Vader.
Right. And she got a little assist from Ezra there. But, I think this will make it interesting though. It'll be good. I mean, if he's got a little force ability, and I am curious now because of the way he said that. If he was a fallen Jedi, right? Or if he was like you said,
you got to think about
Inquisitor. Yeah.
So you got to think about his age a little bit. I mean, he's not that old.
Right.
So at the time of the Jedi, he may have been, Padawan status, maybe
right.
looking at becoming a knight.
Right.
But Padawan status for sure.
Very impressionable.
Yes. So, and probably looking to survive. Like,
yes.
Hey, man, I've only known these dudes for a little bit. Like,
exactly.
Like, come on, let's work some kind of deal out here.
Exactly.
So, yeah, he would have been very young at the onset of Order 66 if he were involved with the Jedi.
Right.
Now, we also must consider the idea that he is misdirecting us.
It's a possibility.
It is a possibility. Like,
I will say this much.
Maybe he's got the secret stuff.
For as much as we're giving him a little crap here about being loose-lipped, if he's intentionally misdirecting us, kudos. This is good work.
And then I gotta take back the other thing I said. Like, oh wait, this dude's a good liar.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Like, it's yes. If he is misdirecting us, yeah, he's a damn good liar because, man, he seems authentic with like, hey, and the excitement in there. Like he's excited to talk about this.
Absolutely.
So it would be right up there with the best executed misdirections of all time.
Yeah, for sure.
Because he just seems so excited about the idea that his character has the stuff.
Yeah. The stuff.
So, yeah, well, I mean, so Doug, gallery?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to bump that.
We're going to have to bump that. We're going to get to it.
We will, eventually.
I promise. We'll get to it. So, gallery wasn't lost on us. We just, there's always stuff to talk about.
That's right.
So, if you have anything to add, then, wow, I mean, you should, right? There's tons of good stuff in there. Tons of speculation. Just, this is the fun stuff about Star Wars. This is the best. I love when we can have tons of stuff like this.
For sure.
But if you have anything to add to that, you can always email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best way to get a hold of us. We're also on social media. We're at The Wars and More on Twitter, facebook.com/thewarsandmore. You can find all that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. Any final thoughts this week, Doug?
No, I think that about covers it.
All right. We will talk next week.